We just both kind of, use each other in this relationship because we both enjoyed that one activity. We did it, we had a good time, but now it's time to move on. I hate to break it to you, but you really don't have as many friends as you think you have. You really don't. I think what I've realized over time is that what I consider to be a friend is what most people consider to be a best friend. And what I consider to be an acquaintance is what most people consider to be a friend. I feel for some reason there's so much value that's placed on having friends growing up. And so when we get into adulthood and we begin to navigate the life of college and trying to figure out who we want to associate with, it begins to get a bit more difficult for some people. Friendship, first of all, is a two-way street, and it's built on, in my opinion, a deep understanding of the other person and a desire to get to know them better. If you think that someone is your friend just because you happen to do the same things together, you're going to be severely disappointed, and you're so delusional. A lot of people, because I've seen this happen in my school growing up and even going into college, a lot of people think that just because you're surrounded by people who are doing the same thing as you or even have the same interests as you, you're friends. Like automatically because you spend a lot of time together doing this one thing. I can tell you from firsthand experience, just because you and someone else are doing the same thing, that does not mean you are friends. Just because you both like the same sport, that does not mean you're friends. You could be on the same team. You have a common goal, because everyone always says friends have common goals and common interests. Just because you and someone else are on the same team, learning the same skills, maybe you have the same interests trying to figure out how to be the best basketball player you can possibly be. You might want to learn how to run different plays, learn offense, defense, learn how to do different types of tricks, dribble behind the back, through the legs, all that stuff, and try to get to know how to be the best basketball player you can be. So you can be doing all of that together with someone, and this can apply to any sport that you do. Just because you spend hours with people doing that, it does not mean that those people are your friends. It just means that you have something in common that you're both working toward. And it's fine. I've been led astray by so many well-meaning adults in my life who basically told me that I was not living my life in the correct way because in their eyes, I didn't have as many friends as they wanted me to have. That can really damage your psyche. If you're in high school, if you're in middle school, these are the times where you really need to figure out what type of friendships you want to have. What type of people do you want to surround yourself with? Now is the time where you need to figure that out for yourself. Do not let other people try to dictate that for you. It will be stressful. It will not be worth it. You will not enjoy yourself. As you get older, you begin to realize okay, yes, I can get to know someone and not necessarily be their friend. Because you don't need to be friends with everyone. Everyone acts especially in the way the media portrays things or the way adults portray things, that you have to be friends with as many people as possible to get to know as many people as possible. And it's just yes, you can build connections with people, but that's not really what you need. Another thing about friends versus acquaintances are people that, in my eyes, those are those people that you spend a lot of time with. They're the people that you might do an activity together and have a good time, but you don't really connect on that deeper level. You wouldn't want to hang out with that person one-on-one. That's a really good barometer for friendship. If you couldn't hang out with that person willingly, one-on-one for at least 30 minutes, I would say 30 minutes is a bare minimum. If you were not to spend time one-on-one with that person, no distractions, no phones, just you and that person sitting and talking for 30 minutes, then that person is not your friend, as far as I'm concerned. And it's all right. It doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with either one of you. It just means that you guys are not friends. A lot of people you see on social media, they're following each other. Okay, cool. There's some type of connection there, but that doesn't mean that they're friends. As someone who sits on the outside and looks at people post all these things on social media, I get it. I get it. You think that everyone else they're all such tight friends, they're all besties. I experienced that a lot when I first started college. It's like suddenly people who just met each other in the first week of college, now you see them posting as if they're best friends, posting themselves doing things together, going to different places, all these long captions. They begin to leave comments and inside jokes on each other's posts. And you just sit there and you're scrolling and you're just thinking like, wow, how did they do it? What's wrong with me? Why can't I do that? I'm telling you, most of it is fake. Those same people, because I've seen this happen, those same people that you thought were so close and built a lifelong friendship, you check in on them the next year and they're not even talking to each other. It happens. This is part of life. You don't need to feel bad about yourself because you don't have friends. As long as you're able to actually make connections with people, that's what matters. And those connections should be genuine. If you want them to be beneficial, I would say try to find people who align with that vision, especially with this generation. Most people, they don't want actual friends. They just want people who they can look good on social media with, or they want people who they can have a fun time with at an event. It's crazy how a lot of people finish college or high school and complain, oh, I lost all my friends. When what's really happening is they're just beginning to understand that people that you went to smoke with, people that you went to party with, people that you went to the bar with, people that you went to that one activity with over and over again, when that activity goes away and you realize that you have nothing in common, I mean, what do you expect to happen? That's when you realize, okay, these weren't even my friends to begin with. We just both kind of, use each other in this relationship because we both enjoyed that one activity. We did it, we had a good time, but now it's time to move on. And it doesn't mean that there's anything necessarily wrong with either one of you, although I would argue that if you do tend to spend time doing certain activities, there's probably something wrong with you internally. It doesn't mean that you lost a friend. It just means that you were never friends to begin with. You were never friends to begin with, and now you're realizing that. And you know what? Life is about learning. I think that's just really something that we need to all think about as we try to navigate different types of relationships, because a lot of people that you have kind of demoted to just being acquaintances, they could actually be pretty good friends if you would just take the time to really get to know them on a genuine level. I think you can find friends in the most unlikely of places, especially nowadays when there's so many different tools that you can use responsibly to find people who are on the same vibe as you. I just wanted to make it clear that just because you're not friends with someone doesn't mean there has to be any animosity. It doesn't mean that there's any bad blood. You just have to understand that you're not always going to be friends with everyone, and that the longer you deceive yourself into thinking that you're friends with someone, the more it's going to hurt when you realize that you're actually not friends. So, friends and acquaintances, know the difference.